Excited to talk about the show. I've been a big fan of the franchise since it first launched, and it's amazing to see it get to come back in this form. Now, I know with a lot of animation, especially Pixar animation, these projects can often take multiple years to sort of come together. So I'm curious, when was the starting date for putting Cars on the Road together?
Was that, Mark?
Yeah, well, streaming doesn't quite have the luxury of all the time that a feature has to make, or at least this project didn't. And we made it in about a year, a little over a year, and close to a year and a half, 15 months. Yeah.
What was it then like having that shorter turnaround time for all of you to really find the stories, get the animation, put it all together?
I think there's something really exciting about kind of jumping ahead and making choices and running with them and not overthinking, because that is a possibility when you're working on something for a long time. If you don't see the end date in front of you, sometimes you can kind of ruminate on something too much. And it's like if you're doing a painting and you keep mixing the colors up and they come out brown because you've kind of scrubbed them together too much. So sometimes there's more vitality in making a choice and going with it and living with those choices.
Yeah. Interesting. That's easier to do when you're so excited and you remember how that made me laugh the first time I read Steve's pages. That's really makes it easy to move forward at that speed.
So what was everybody's goals here in putting the show together, to really be something gratifying, for audiences as much as for all of you?
I mean, one thing we talked about a lot was just to make this entertaining, like from first frame to last frame to even our composer did variations on the theme song for every episode that are different in the style of that episode. Like if we're gonna ask our audience to sit and watch 65 minutes, something that's longer than Dumbo, we want it to be super, super entertaining, pack as much in there as we can.
Now, I love the Ray Harryhausen style animation used for the dinosaur flashback. Now, was that an idea? How did that come about? I mean, did you have the idea for the Ray Harryhausen first, or was it dinosaurs came first and then it was the challenge of figuring out that style of animation?
Yeah, I think the style of it was part of the idea. Like, oh God, I want to see, first of all, I want to see what a Cars dinosaur looks like. And I want to see it animated like a Ray Harryhausen movie, because those were the things that sparked my imagination when I was a kid. And it was a challenge to figure out how to do it, because we're working in computer graphics, and so we have to find a process, which they did very quickly, figured out a process that made you totally believe it was handmade. There was some cheating as far as the frame rate, things like that, but ultimately it was the feeling that we wanted to capture, and I thought they did it amazingly well.
On
top of the production design that had the lighting feel of it as well.
You want some little fun inside stuff? I don't know if this is useful, but so we turned off the motion blur. Our crew turned off the motion blur for the dinosaurs because they're stop motion, right? But not our characters. Until our characters were picked up by the dinosaurs, because just like in Harry's house, and they turned into puppets, and then they also got turned off in motion blur. So it's those little things.
The level of geekery that most people might not even notice, but the ones who do notice, oh yeah, we thought it.
Well, as someone who's fallen in love with learning more about the visual effects behind the scenes, that's an awesome little detail to know. So what would you then say was each of your favorite adventures to help put together for the screen?
My favorite one is one that Steve directed. It's the haunted motel one called Lights Out. I just loved, as a kid, I just ate up haunted house stories. I loved them. So that one just touches me, it's just takes me right back to being 7.
I was really pleased with how Brian's episode B movie came out, because it had a lot of wordplay, it had a lot of kind of complicated twists and turns in it, and I remember thinking, this would be really hard to direct. I think Brian should do that one. But once, it was great to get to be an audience member for that one.
Yeah, process-wise, I got to work really closely with our composer on the Trucks episode, and that was just an opportunity that, I hadn't had any other time in my career, and that was just a joy to craft something so out there.
I mean, there are so many that I enjoy, quite honestly. Each one of those I would use, but I'll go Road Rumblers and the kind of absurdity of the situation and the world that we created or the crew created and these guys built was it's just fun and it feels real, and it's a movie, of course, that I love, and so that one was
When you're working on something like this and you have multiple episodes that are all really different, sometimes that question does arise, like, oh, which is my favorite? And the challenge when you're in the middle of it is like, how can I make, if this one's my favorite, how can I make this one over here kind of reach the level of my favorite as well? So we're always kind of navigating how to bring everything up to the same level that we want.
Well, I think all of those were phenomenal choices. I think all 9 episodes, though, as a whole, are a lot of fun, and they're going to be, they should be loved by fans if they are true fans.